Warrior Movement Group, and we should be live. All right. Well, what's up, Warrior? Welcome to Warrior Wisdom. And I have a couple of questions for us today. Have you ever looked at other people and you kind of felt like they just learned faster than you? There's some people, they get into something, they get into their business and they're just rocking it. And you might feel to yourself, man, how are they getting it so quick? I'm struggling. I'm overwhelmed. I feel like I keep on hitting my head on the wall and there's just something off there. And if you do feel that way, and I appreciate the transparency, then today, this message, I believe, will shift you if you allow it to shift you. And I'm titling this that you were born a genius, but taught to be stupid. I know that's a strong word. I don't say that word lightly right there. But I want to remind us because when I got into this business, I'll tell you that's how I felt. I felt like, man, everyone else is just rocking it. And here I am struggling. And I thought, honestly, that I was smart. Now, many of us, when we label intelligence, we label it based on what society labels intelligence, which is what school labels it. Are you a good test taker or are you not? Now, we have a range of people here. I'm curious. If you were the good star student in school, put a 1 in the comments. If you were kind of in the middle, put a 2 in the comments. If you're like school, man, that's just not clicking, put a 3 in the comments. It's like we have a range. So I see a lot of people in the middle. Some like testing, it gets you anxiety just to like hear that word right there. So I will tell you this, that I was on, to be honest, I was on the what school would label as smart. I took 13 AP classes in high school. I got like almost a perfect score on my SAT. Like I went to UC Berkeley, and I thought it was smart. But what happened was this, is when I got introduced to this business, my mentors, ironically, were college dropouts, but they were making multiple 6 figures. They were making 7-figure incomes. And one day I was scratching my head and I thought to myself this, I'm like, if I'm so smart, why am I broke and why are they rich? Now, who here would rather be rich than to only just get good grades on a test, right? And I started to realize there's a difference of what the world calls intelligent and smart versus what actually intelligence is. So I want to tell you this. Even if you feel like you're not the best student growing up, you might even have a competitive advantage. They say that the C students hire the B students who hire the A students. So I had to go through a process of unlearning how to learn, relearning how to learn. And when I learned this art, and every single one of us here can learn this, everything changed for me. Now I know anything that I put my mind to, I master it and I get results from it. It's how I was able to get over 100 enrollments through TikTok, and I was not a TikToker. It's how we were able to grow a global business, and I was someone that was so shy that I couldn't order food at a restaurant. It's how I was able to become a better presenter or trainer when before I would hide behind the desk and not anyone call me. So every single one of us, I believe, was born a genius, but we're taught to be stupid. But let's shift some things. If you're ready to be shifted, put a 100 in the comments below. I have a couple points for us how to do this. Number 1, take a look at what you're learning. Let's say it's this business. And you have to first decide if it's worthwhile to learn. Decide if it's worthwhile to learn. One of the most painful places that I see a lot of people in their businesses be at is this. They say yes to getting started. They start to go into the launch system. They show up to the training calls, but they're not getting the results. And one of my biggest fears is I remember I went to my very first network marketing convention, and it was so mind-blowing to me. And I met somebody that had been involved in that company for over 10 years. And you would have a name badge. And on the name badge, this person was like a team lead. Now, nothing wrong about a team lead. That's our first title. It's super important. But who here, if you did your business for 10 years, would hope that you would be way more than just a team lead, right? You would expect that you'd be a senior officer, a CEO, a chairperson, like, right? Like that's like, oh my gosh, I don't want to spend this time and not break through over a certain amount of time. So why did this happen? I believe a lot of times we don't master things because we have not actually decided that it's worthwhile to master. So my question to you is this: why are you doing this? This business? Like seriously, why is it? Why this for your goals as a tool? And we have to be very real with ourselves, right? And it's okay, by the way, there's many reasons that we do this. I'm talking about mastering. I'm talking about growing and scaling a huge, ginormous business. I'm talking about growing a six-figure plus income, right? Who here would love to have a six-figure plus income? Give me a wave or put a 6 in the comments. Like if that's actually the case, and by the way, I don't want to impose a goal on you. I'll be honest to you. When I first got started in this business, I didn't want to make a six-figure income. I'm 6 figures. I'm going to do that through being a doctor. You know why I got started? I wanted to grow. I wanted to learn. I love the community. And to be honest, real honest with you, I wanted a girlfriend. Like that's why I wanted to do. So I wanted to be different so I could eventually date somebody. And it worked. I got what I wanted, right? But you have to be very, very real with yourself on what you're actually doing this for. Because the level of your mastery will only go up to the level of your desire. If you seriously want a six-figure business, you will learn at a six-figure level. If you seriously want a seven-figure business, then you're going to learn at a seven-figure level. But if all we want is actually really just to be in community and have fun, which by the way is not bad, but if that's all we want, be real with yourself, right? It's better to live in honesty and integrity than to kind of live a life where you're pretending something else. But I'm sharing this with you because I think many of us actually do want big things, but we haven't shifted there yet because we haven't counted the cost. So I answered this for myself. Is this business worth it to me? I did Academy. And I shared why Partner Co is the best path to financial freedom for me. For me, that's my decision process. I said, if I want a life of freedom, if I want to live a life of design, if I want to be able to travel and not care about the bill, if I want to be able to give to my family, give to my church, if I want to be able to pass on a multi-generational business, I realized and I made a decision, there is nowhere better than here. Have you made that decision for you? Is it worth it? Is it worth it? Because I'm going to promise you, whatever you choose, it's going to take effort. Whatever you choose, it's going to take commitment. But is it worth it for you? Yeah, put a yes in the comments if that's the case, to rededicate. Okay. So if that's a yes, then failure is not an option. It's a completely different learning style. You will continue to learn and grow until, I titled this Born a Genius. Take a look at a kid. Take a look at a baby. Who here has ever watched a baby try to learn how to walk? Such a great example. How do they know how to walk? But I have never seen a kid fail to learn how to walk eventually. They just make a decision. Failure is not an option. I have to walk. I cannot stay crawling, and they will do whatever it takes, don't they? They will fall as much as it takes, don't they? But they don't fall and condemn themselves, do they? They don't fall and say, "Oh, I'm just not one of the walker types." Or they don't walk and be like, "This isn't for me." They don't fall and then they complain. They fall and they say, "Let me get up again." They fall and then they say, "Let me get it better." And then they get a little bit better, and then a little bit better. And then one day they're on their feet and they're like, okay, and then they fall again, right? And then eventually they get it down. We can learn so much. Remember, you were born that way. You were born a genius. I believe, my belief is you were created in the sight and the image of God, who is perfect. So if that's the case, then you have the ability to have a creative mind, to be able to learn and master anything that comes into you. You've been given a creative power. You've been given an opportunity. If you're still with me, put a me in the comments. These are important, because as you decide if something's worth it, and I'm going to give you tactics, but this part is so key. You decide if it's worth it. You become obsessed. You say failure is not an option. I'm going to master this business. I'm going to master this system. I'm going to master how this works, because it works. Number two, though, as you decide on if it's worth it to you, is you must then shift your self-image. You must shift your self-image when it deals with learning. I don't know what your teacher said to you, but some of you had teachers that were mean to you. They called you names. They put you in the slow class. Some of you had friends and family that called you dumb, and they didn't know what they're talking about. Hey, who knows your actual value? They don't know it. You're called stupid by an English teacher. So many things that we've been harbored by. You had a loved one. They said something to you. And one day we came into agreement with that. For me, for example, I just thought that I was a shy guy. I knew I was shy. I thought there was a shy gene. Do you realize there's no such thing as a dumb gene in your body? Like, that's just not real. These are learned. We are taught to be stupid. No one's born like that. Everyone is born as genius. So when we shift your self-image, when it comes to learning, here's a couple philosophies to shift. I love what Dr. P.O. Washington says. When you're learning something, we're going to be tempted to say, this is too hard. This is too difficult. I'm not a social media person. Was anyone, by the way, who here was born with social media in your hand? No. No one's born with any of these skills. No one's born with any of these understandings, right? You learn these different things. So it's not that this is difficult. It's simply different. We hear this a lot when we say, man, I did this in my previous career so well. I was a manager. I climbed the ladder. I became successful. Why is this business so? Be careful what you say. Many of us are living under a curse that you've put under yourself because you've put in your mind a blocker to say, this is too hard, I can't get it. You know why we do that? We want to save our ego. It's okay if I'm just loving and real with us today. It's easier to say, I can't do this, but I'm going to try just to feel like I'm doing something, but I'm never actually going to make it. What a painful place to be at. Either do it or don't. Don't be in the middle. Lukewarm sucks. That's painful, right? Puberty. You have to go through it. But can you imagine we got stuck in puberty? Can you imagine my voice was still cracking, acne was breaking out? Who here was awkward when you were going through puberty in life, right? You're like, oh man, those are weird times. It's a season, but you shouldn't stay in it. I believe many of us, because of how we view our self-image, we stay stuck in puberty in your growth process. And that's one of the biggest lies in the world. Why? We say it's too hard. Just say it's different, like what Dr. Pia says. Here's another thing that I say to myself. When I grasped this, it helped me to really get it. Because I used to say to myself, well, I'm not like them, so I can't do it. What I realized was this, is if they can do it, then you can too, better. Let's add on one thing. I think Michael Jordan, he had that be like Mike thing, right? If I can do anything, then you can as well too, right? In this business, it actually works. It's not the same. We can't say this with athletes, but we can say this in this business. Why? This business, we all have the same product. Diane Odom doesn't have a different set of drops than I do. Right? We have the same system. Lucia Hamilton does not have a different boards. She has the same thing. We have the same comp plan. Joanne Hewitt didn't get 10% extra pay. I love that. It's a great equalizer, which kind of sucks because it means that it's fair. This is the most fair business in the world because it pays you exactly, not a dime more or a dime less, what you're worth to the marketplace. That's hard for me because if I had a low paycheck, I'm like, man, dang, I'm not bringing much value. The numbers tell the whole story as a business value. But if that's the case, that's powerful because in this business, that means that if someone else can do this, so can I. Put in the chat, so can I. So can that clicked. That clicked. That clicked for me. And I started to say, wow, okay, cool. Let's go figure this out. Let's go crack the code. I became obsessed with the details. I became obsessed and said, I'm going to figure this out. Because if they can do it, so can I. If they can do it, so can I. So we got to shift our self-image. We have to realize you can if you decide that you can. Doesn't matter what anyone else has said. They don't know you. Doesn't matter how young you are, how mature you are. Doesn't matter if you've never done this before or you've done this before. Doesn't matter if you've succeeded financially before or you didn't succeed financially before. It doesn't matter. We have the opportunity to decide right now to change. I love that. Man. Last thing. If you're still with me, say I'm with you. I'm with you. You decide if it's worth it to master something. You shift your self-image and just realize you can too. You can too. And here's the last part. Let me give you some tactics now. Seek mastery. Seek mastery. How do you actually master anything? How do you master this craft? How did I, and I wouldn't say I'm a master, I'm seeking master, right? How am I getting results with Instagram when I never did that before? How am I getting results in this business when I've never done it before? How am I getting results in all these different things? It's because there is a process of mastery. So what do? Number one, find a proven model or mentor, which we have. What's great about network marketing, what's great about PartnerCo, what's great about this business, you don't really have to kind of reinvent the wheel, right? Like it's all here. The systems, the frameworks, the company, everything's here. So that's a given. And find people to emulate. We have so many different people that you can learn from. So find that. It's like a standard. Okay. And our goal in mastery is we want to reach that standard. So how do we do that? After I find this model, I'll give you an example. Okay, so Cindy and Lindsay came in the game November 7th. I reached out to Lindsay. We had a conversation on Instagram stories. And next thing you know, a couple of weeks later, we're flying out to Puerto Rico, meeting with John and Darren, and had a meeting that changed the game forever. They presented the machine. They presented a business model. They presented a system of social selling, of attraction marketing, of all these things. And I looked at this and I'm like, they did $50 million in revenue in 5 years. They built an organization of 25,000. I'm like, I want that. Hey, if you want that, I want that in the chat, right? So I'm like, let's go. Let me take that right there. Like, let's go figure this out. So I'm like, I'm going to make them. And even though we're blessed to have them in our team, I'm looking at them as a role model in this situation. I don't care who I'm learning from. I want that. I'm like, sweet, let's go figure this out. So I'm going through this. I said, is it worth it to learn something new? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because if I want what I want, I got to learn this thing. I want a rapidly scaling business with residual income around the world. I want a system that anyone from any time can do. I'm like, this is worth it. I shift my self-image. I'm like, I don't care if I'm not a woman in my 40s that has social selling experience. I'm an Asian dude in my 30s, but it doesn't matter because if they can do it, then I can do it. You guys see how this works? And I said, there's the model. I'm going to become the best student. So let me set a goal for you. If you want to master anything, here's what I say to myself. I'm going to become the best student that will actually be the one that teaches whatever I'm learning to others. You know you mastered something when you can teach it to others. Thus, I'm going to learn to teach. That's when I know I'm going to master it. I'm going to be the #1 testimonial. I'm going to be that star student. I'm going to show through my fruit that this works. I set that as a metric right away. Then what do? I look at the processes and I look at the systems and I obsess about picking up all the little details. Are you going through the launch week and watching all the videos multiple times? Are you reading through the captions? Everything. You know, I've found there's many times when people come up and they're like, James, how do I do this? I'm like, well, it was in launch week right there in the caption. Oh, I didn't see that. Well, let's level up how we learn. Obsess about the little details. You know, most of us are not 100 details away from a massive breakthrough in your business. Most of us are a couple of details. One flick of a wrist, one change in your Instagram, one change in your daily method of operation, one change in a mindset. You're literally just a couple details away from a massive breakthrough, because I'm talking to people that are consistent and committed, right? If you know that you're consistent and committed to your dreams and your goals in your business, put a me in the comments below. Like that's most of the battle, right? That's most of it. But what's the difference maker? The difference maker, the one that excels, the one that relearns their genius, is the one that gets obsessed about the little details. They take notes differently. Let me tell you how to take a note. Don't take a note on just how to do it. Employees know how. Owners know why. It's a huge difference. I hope this clicks. This changed the game for me. It got me to take notes so differently. I remember when I first started taking notes from my mentors, you know what my pages would be? It's a lot of quotes. It's a lot of details. It's a lot of literal what they said. I took notes like school taught me how to take notes, which is memorize and regurgitate, memorize and regurgitate. Business owners, wealthy people, successful people learn for mastery and application. So I started seeking, why do you do what you do? I want to get the mindset. I want to get the thought process. I want to get the philosophy. I want to get the psychology. So I started to go through Cindy and Lindsay's system. And I'm like, why does engagement sandwich work the way it does? Why do they say make a pinned post? Why are the words that way? Most people, they're just like copy paste. That's great. But I challenge you to think about why. Can you create the same impact in another place? For example, let's say, who here would love a new product launch in Partner Co? That sounds cool. Or you love a new product. Who here would love to make a lot of money with a new product launch in Partner Co? If you learned why and you studied the marketing language behind how the pin posts work, guess what? You will be ahead of the curve when the next product launches, which, by the way, in PXP, there is a product that's launching. And by the way, it is crazy. I can't believe they have time to put these things together. I got a glimpse. I'm like, I know it's good. You're going to want it. But what I want more is I want to be ahead of the curve in knowing how to market it. So I started to study why. Because ultimately, you can do what others do, but you're going to look different. Your way is going to look different. Your style is going to be different. You're going to add your own unique fingerprint. The principles are the same. The look of it might be different. But that's why it's important not just to take notes and to learn like an employee or to learn like a college student. It's to learn like an owner. Why? Be like a kid again. You know what the most annoying question a kid asks you? Why Why do you do this, mom? Why do you do this? Why? You're like, stop asking. But that born genius, that's why kids learn so fast. It's not because they're young. It's because they ask these questions. Ask the why, not just the how. If this clicks, put why in the comments below. So you've decided on what you're going to master. I choose this business. I choose this system. I choose everything that's here. I shift my self-image and just know it's just different. It's not difficult. It's different. I'm going to master this thing. I'm seeking mastery. I find my model. I'm obsessed about the details. I'm learning through the application. I'm asking the why. I'm asking the why. I'm like, all right, got it. Got it. I'm going to be the best student. I'm going to showcase through my fruit. And I do not relent until I figure it out. I do not go back until I get the result. Why? We've already decided up front that it's worth it. I'm in a rush to get to where I need to get to. How about you? I need to get this. I need to understand this. So today, I just want to come against anything that might be holding your mindset back to actually tapping into the creative genius that each of us have been given already. Remember, you're born a genius. We were taught by society. We were taught by our environment. We were taught by school to be stupid. Let's unlock your genius once again. You have it within you. All right. So if you're up for that and you accept this message, put I accept in the comments below. And I promise you, you're going to have such a fun time. You're going to look at any single new problem and be like, no problem. You're going to learn things so much faster. You're going to see results in what it is that you're going to do. Go through the system, master the details, be the next testimonial. Why not you? Other than that, we so love you. Congratulations, and we'll see you soon.